Choopan, he made it to the Arnold, and he's better than ever.
What's up, brother? Okay, so Hadi made it. Hadi's here, so he's going to be at the Arnold.
Yep, it's on. Better than ever, and probably one of the most competitive times that we could see coming up. Right? I mean,
yeah,
it's all up for grabs.
Andrew looks crazy. We'll get into that. You know, we got the lineup. So with Andrew's transformation, you know, you worked with Aceto before. A lot of people, like we talked about before, the coach gets all the credit for what the person looks like. So Kamal has been, you know, pretty much training Andrew in the gym, like pushing him to his limits. And, you know, before
Right.
Andrew, he's worked with Chris Psycho Lewis, you know, was with I believe. Now he's killing it in the gym, and I think Kamal's name, you know, he needs to be recognized in Andrew's transformation of his physique, because you know, Aceto's not there pushing him in the gym every day, telling him what to do, this and that. You know, I mean, he might shoot him over, hey, eat this, go eat this. I don't know what your experience with Aceto was, but what are your thoughts on you know, Kamal pushing him in the gym and his dramatic changes in his physique? As you know, will it translate on stage?
Yeah, look, I think that this is actually a phenomenal conversation, because I think if you're looking at Chris Lewis or Psycho Fitness, right? Chris Lewis was one of my best friends while I was in the depths of my pro career. We trained. I love training with Chris. He's a big guy, and so he's very strong. He could keep up with the weights. We trained together. Having that partner with you that will challenge you, that you kind of compete with, you get to be boys with. For some people, that's really helpful, and it'll just help you take your mindset to that new place, or that hard place. It's the grindy place. That's not what Chris Aceto is. Chris Aceto is not to get in the gym with you and crush it. Like, you know, he's the week out while you're in the gym, burning out glycogen, pushing your ass while you have no energy, you know, getting you to get up and pose in the room. He's that guy. So I think we're talking about two different people there. And then Akeem, right? So it's obvious he's training with him there, and we're seeing him push Andrew. I think what's also funny is, very interestingly, is like you have like two worlds that exist in this quote unquote push or intensity. So you have the Dorian Yates world, right? Super heavy, crazy weight. And then you have these guys like Jay Cutler and others that do high volume and create intensity through drop setting and stuff like that. And that's what you're seeing with Akeem with him. He's not going crazy heavy. I think he's keeping it safe. But, you know, I think putting them all in the same category is a bit of a misnomer, because they're serving two different purposes, the point.
Absolutely. Here's let me pull up Andrew.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, baby.
So, they're strip setting, pushing it to the limits, all that. So, good for him. Then we got Hadi. Hadi's looking insane. Let me put up on Hadi.
Yeah. Yeah, this kid's dialed in, man. The thing is I watch this and like he's 100% impressive. Like you can't I'm gonna say a paragraph, which is he's impressive, right? Sentence a bit of it. Period. Done. End of story. But he's always impressive. Hadi is an absolute dog. He's a machine. You're not going to question whether or not his work ethic, ability to stick to his diet, like all of that is non-existent. This guy is an absolute animal. So it's not a question as to whether or not he's going to come in shape. The guy always comes in shape. I mean, do we have a dial up or a dial down? Dude, the 5-week out picture has no depiction of that whatsoever. Maybe he can come in with a little bit more volume, so it gives him a little bit more ability to pull down a little harder. But dude, his hard relative to his previous hard, dude, it's like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that that's actually the question for this at all. Like, we know who is going to show up with Hadi Choopan, right? This guy's very consistent. Now, the other guys that we want to talk about that are sitting beside him, there are questions there because they're still evolving, right? The Andrew Jack that we've seen evolve over the last 3 years has been relatively dramatic. So who's that guy going to show up, right? Which version of that, or maybe even a version we've not seen yet? That becomes,
yeah. Hadi he always has issues from the back. His back is never super extra crispy. That's Hadi's issue always, from the front, crispy, crazy, grainy. The back is always seems like a little bit of film of water. And I think, I believe probably, Hadi's pretty much only, I guess, I'm assuming he's coaching only Hadi now. You know what I mean? That's the only guy he has since he stopped coaching everybody else. So his main attention's right there. The lineup, this is the lineup for Arnold. We got Hadi, we got Andrew Jack, Nick Walker, Martin Fitzwater, Brandon Curry, Hakeem Williams, Rafael Brando, Hassan. We have Muhammad Fura, Anthony Williams, Antonio Burton. Top 3, I believe, is going to be Hadi, Andrew, Nick. I mean, Martin might jump in there. We'll see. All these guys, posting their pictures, especially like Nick Walker. Everybody's like, his waist is down. His waist is down. It's like, it's the angle. He's got his phone up here, and then he gets on stage again, and then he's got the distension and all that. And I think so many people are always focused on his waist, his waist, his waist. The waist is there, Chris. I mean, I don't see the waist, magically just disappearing. No. It's there. All his pictures leading up, he's got his angle, and everybody's, oh my gosh, Nick's waist is down. No, it's not down. It's the angle of the camera. He's in great lighting, and we all know how that goes.
Dude, Nick Walker is like the updated version, and just work with me here and kind of inform, not necessarily all substance, but this is Dave Palumbo remade 30 years later. Mm-hmm. And I'm not shitting on that at all, actually. Like we said before, when I competed against Dave in 2003, dude, if I would have been competing against Dave in 98 or 99 timeframe, dude, Dave would have beat me because he was the right mixture of absolute brute muscle, just crazy. Yeah, he had the same waistline, but he was so full everywhere else that it kind of made it all work. As he got older, dude, it kind of deteriorates a little bit. I got the older version of Dave. I beat him on aesthetics alone, regardless of how hard he was. That's what we're dealing with Nick. Like right now, he's still able to be full. He still looks really, really good. This is the guy that you see by himself in the gym with the tank top, and you're like, dude, nothing is beating this guy. Because we're not talking about conditioning. His conditioning is always there. We're not talking about size. He's muscular as hell, right? Yeah. But this is Dennis James. Remember Dennis James? I mean, bro, Dennis James always wore a belt, always wore a tank top. No one was beating him this year. And then he would show up and be like, bleh, right? And I mean, I love Dennis James. He's a great guy, and bless his heart, because he trained hard a whole bit, but that's just a genetic disposition. Nick Walker is just gonna be. He's always gonna be in the discussion because you're gonna have a fan base, etc., that's always gonna love it. But bro, from a true top level, it's just not gonna happen. You know,
I mean,
yeah,
they would have to be off. I mean, Andrew Jack and Hadi would have to be completely off, and Nick would have to be completely on for Nick to go in there and win. Could it happen? Absolutely, it could happen. But they would have to be off. And is that going to happen? Both of them going to be completely off.
For Hadi to be off that much, he would have to have leukemia, bro. Like, I mean, like, like Hadi's off is not. It just ain't going to be. I mean, literally, barring some kind of tragic scenario, dude, Hadi is. You can bet on that guy showing up as near the best version of himself every time. This guy's he's nuts, man.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the other guys? You got Martin Fitzwater. You know, he's a smaller, I wouldn't say smaller guy, but he's smaller than the other guys. He's kind of been hit or miss. And you know, he could potentially, you know, slide in there. His pictures were, I don't know if you saw his pictures, but he was a little, you know, you could speed things up because Martin, he has a fast metabolism. 6 weeks out is not, you know, someone 6 weeks out is not always, you know, a good representation of what they're going to look like on stage. He looked a little behind on his 6 weeks out, but he could speed things up, you know. I know Martin. He's not a big. He's not doing a lot of cardio, if any. You know, when he was living in Dallas, I remember. You know, we trained together for a little bit. But you think Martin can crack and get in there or no?
Top 3, I think he could. I think Martin is like. Here's one of the things that I always look. I'm literally like just like Martin. I am a pure Western European white boy. All right. I have no pigment to my skin. And so every time I would guest pose or come leading up, or I'd be at the gym posing, bro, like pictures never do these white dudes real justice because they just never, you can never see all the things that are happening. You can take like just you, right, with obviously your bloodline and the little bit of pigment that you have relative to me. We could be in the same condition standing next to each other and you'll just look harder, right? So I always get a little bit kind of like, I kind of laugh it off a little bit. I mean, this guy, look, Martin he's a seasoned guy. He's been around. He knows what he's doing. Are there elements of getting better? Sure. I mean, he's got a very interesting physique. He can be very round if he can maintain that fullness while pulling down, which really becomes like, how much larger can we get in the off season so that when we pull down, we have that Dunlop look, right? If he's able to maintain that, dude, he can get into the discussion. He's not a small human. He's a big boy. You know, so in the right scenario, yeah, I mean, maybe you know, we're talking about like relative to the lineup here. I think you have Andrew, obviously you have Hadi, and then these other few guys that we're going to speak about are kind of like always like, man, it's possible, you know.
And he's younger too. He's about 10 years younger than Andrew and Hadi.
Yeah,
you know, he's a younger guy too, so he has time to improve and you know improve the right way. You know, not make any dramatic things. You know, blow out your waist or anything like that. You know, we got Brandon Curry. Brandon, you know, he's up there. He's looked great. Brandon always looks great. Brandon Curry always looks amazing.
He's pretty reliable. Yeah.
You know, the legs are always the issue, of course, for Brandon. Akeem Williams is always great, but it seems like over the years, his back is kind of, whether it be nerve damage or whatever, is kind of like lost the lower lats. O'Neal was always, you know, looking awesome and improving. You got Muhammad Fuda, he looks great. But I think we got, you know, the solid top 3 to 4, you know, Hadi, Andrew, Nick, and Martin there.
Yeah. You know, I mean, this guy, Akeem, right? I think he has some real potential down the line. Like you said, from the back, we have issues where it comes from or why. I don't know. I mean, there's I've seen dudes evolve, right? I mean, you like, it just depends on what area he's going to focus on and how he's going to bring that up. Obviously, combined with how his nutrition goes and dieting down. But this guy is big, he's round. You know, I mean, the differentiation between a lot of these guys is really it's what I call basis points, right? It's like it's the percentage of the percent. It's you know, a little bit right, a little bit wrong, kind of can very much change the dynamics. I think if we get into discussion of like if everybody absolutely brought their best, you know, then I think we're looking at a very different regime change. I think Andrew Jack at his very best potential, dude.
Yeah.
Very difficult to beat somebody like that, man. He's just too big. He's got great symmetry. You know, there is subjectivity to it, right? Depending on how, because Andrew, you know, Andrew can be a little bit, what's the word? Like a bit of parts, if you will. But it still presents very well. And if he gets super tight, dude, he's a force, man. He's a big round guy.
And his pictures are different. I mean, coming in, it looks like he's made some improvements. He's training harder, so it'll be exciting to see. You know, between him and Hadi, it's going to be a battle. You know, King's not here with us today. He had an emergency. He broke his canine tooth off, so he's seen me a picture, and he's.
What's he biting? How you? What are you doing, man?
I didn't even ask him, but he sent me a picture this morning. He's like, "Hey, sorry, but yeah, he broke his tooth off, so he had to go to the emergency dentist clinic to get that fixed and all that."
That sucks. Dude, breaking a tooth sucks.
No, I wanted to bring up Samson. Samson, we saw King made a comment, and we had a whole discussion. This was a couple months back about Samson's training. You know, we said King made a statement, and he was like, "Hey, he needs to call up Dorian." Not necessarily maybe call up Dorian, but he needs to up his training intensity because basically, we saw him training like with his wife, kind of going through the motions, wasn't really pushing it hard, wasn't going hard at it. And then we made those comments, and then I remember whatever post it was. I remember Fuad and also Samson made laughy face emojis at that comment of King saying, "Hey, he needs to." And then what is Samson doing now? His wife's not with him in the gym. He's got this guy pushing him now hard. Let me see what this says.
Look at this guy. Yeah. A little Dorian-esque. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, he's pushing it hard now. So, I mean, before he was going through the motions. Now they laughed at it at first, but now they are actually training harder. So they actually did listen. A lot of times, Chris, people don't want to, they take constructive criticism and they're so sensitive about it these days. And, and they laugh it off like, haha, I'm already training hard enough. No, you weren't, because you obviously changed your training. You changed your training. You're training differently now. These current videos he's posted, he's training harder. He's training a lot more intense. It doesn't necessarily have to be the Dorian style, potentially. And next week, I believe Sergio's coming on one of the podcasts, and he went out and trained with Dorian. I believe, he was saying Dorian's style of training a little too much, kind of got injured and all that. But Samson is he went from going from looking totally undersized. Now he put on all this size. What do you think about him putting on all the size that he has? Is it necessary for him to get that heavy? What is he at? 250? What is it? 250? I don't know what his weight's at. 240, 250 something. I mean, not 250, 340, 350, something like that. But he's pushing it hard. And, coming into this Olympia, he knows that he's got to bring it. He played that game. He tried to come in extra shredded. And the whole wife coaching situation and saying my wife is his coach and whatever he has going on now, we don't truly know. you know, Samson blocks a lot of people too. People will say something and he blocks them on social media. And, you know, you didn't have that when you were competing. A lot of guys didn't have that when they were competing. The social media stuff, all the noise and the buzz, there were the forums. And so a lot of times these guys, they're focusing on their shows and they're getting this all this outside noise. And sometimes they block these people because they just don't want to hear it. They just don't want to see it. And to me, it's a little bit of being sensitive. Hey, you're being judged. This is bodybuilding. You got to, like, you know, you can't take that stuff personal. You're being critiqued on your physique, how you look. And you know, I don't know what your thoughts on all that, Chris, but.
First of all, it's hard, right? Like everything you're saying is true, but yet we're dealing with, you know, a subjective sport that is, we build our entire life based on people's opinions and how we look. So whether we want to say it matters or doesn't, it does. And so, how he deals with that, man, you know, he's got to kind of walk through that fire and figure that out for himself. You know, I think over time you begin to recognize that it's meaningless, right? So that's just something he's got to work on. But as far as the training and getting big, etc. So every bodybuilder in this division, this like mass monster division that we're all in here, you got to find that line. And the only way, you don't know where that line is until you've crossed it, right? And we saw Ronnie Coleman go through that. We've seen Dorian Yates go through that. And, you know, it's like everyone will look at their career prospectively and go, well, actually the best years were this, right? Before he got a little too big or because whatever. And it typically is very surrounded by that size issue. So Samson is finding that in his spot because he showed up last year purposefully trying to pull himself down to get a little tighter. And then, you know, the result became what it was, right? And he was coming in with like, all right, I'm going to work extra hard. I'm going to draw extra tight because I want to win this thing. And then it worked against him. So he's like, all right, F that. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to get myself big as hell. And he's in the middle of modulating that place. Is it necessary? I think it's necessary to find out where you are. Yeah. Now, the training style and how he's doing it, right? Driving the intensity. Listen, man, we all lived right on that edge, right? You've got to train literally to the level of right before you break, but there's a possibility you might break. We saw that with Dorian. We saw it with Ronnie. We've seen it with a lot of the greats. The interesting thing about this is there has been some athletes that have had successes that didn't fight that particular issue. You know, probably the most uncontested Mr. Olympia or multi-Mr. Olympia ever, right? With dude, I forget everybody's name. What's his name? After Jay, dude.
Phil.
Jeez, dude. Sorry. So you could argue Phil was the most uncontested Mr. Olympia, right? You say, well, look at who he was competing against, which is a legitimate conversation. The point is, he built his entire body on the counter to what the Dorian Yates of the world, right? A lot of high volume, a lot of high intensity, but not stress from a weight perspective. And thus he had longevity. Even still today, he's able to go to the gym. He looks great. He can train. He's not limping around. So everybody's going to find that place. You know, I'm looking at Andrew Jack to train right now, and he's training exactly how I trained. He's doing, you know, first sets like moderately heavy. If he gets around the 10 range, then, you know, it's probably his max rep range. And then he'll drop and do another 7 to 8 reps, right? Not on every set, but he goes with how he's feeling. A lot of volumization, cracking open that fascia and allowing the muscle to grow. I believe Dorian Yates shits on this all the time, but I believe the muscle grows through volume, through expanding the size of that muscle, through swelling, and you grow into the swell. And, you know, I think Samson, there is a balance though with heavy and intensity as well. Maybe he's just got to walk through that. We're going to see. The great thing about it is we're going to get to see what the result of this, you know?
Yeah.
size, you would argue, is not necessarily his issue. Well, then last Olympia he showed up and you say, well, size was a little bit of an issue. Okay.
Yeah.
So because he's a big frame guy, I was of the position heading into that Olympia going, bro, if Samson gets it right and gets tight, nobody's going to beat him because I love the way his body flows. I don't think he's missing really any body parts. Just got to tighten up. Just if he can get to that haughty type of conditioning, bro, very, very difficult. But we saw the result,
Yeah. With Samson, I don't see his physique ever being like crispy Hadi, but I think him getting a little bit crispier, he can do. He took the criticism, the constructive criticism, and he's applying it. And he knows, like, hey, I probably wasn't training hard enough in the gym. I was, lollygagging around, or wasn't, putting my all in there, going in there where you're every, training session, like you said before. I'm not a fan of the real low volume, either. I'm more fan of the more higher volume stuff, going in there, pumping up the muscle, and more sets and all that. With the lower volume, going to failure all the time, you're a lot of risk for a lot of higher injury. Of course, we saw that with Dorian, his tricep, his other injuries, accumulated over the years. And then some guys, like Branch and Johnny, they just get lucky. They just don't get injured. I grew up in here in Arlington, watching Ronnie, Branch, and Johnny train over the years. And Johnny I was good friends with over the years and still am. But Branch and then in the Metroflex atmosphere, everybody would train like those guys too, and people get hurt all the time. And listen, like, you can't train like Branch. You're not Branch Warren. Branch Warren could go in there and put 3 plates on a shoulder press. We all seen his training, and he doesn't get hurt. The guy's joints. And then you got Ronnie. His body lasted so long, and then eventually it just all broke down at one time. And I feel so bad for Ronnie. And if you ask Ronnie, I don't regret anything. I would do this all over again, bro. I would not do that all over again. You could not give me 8 Olympias to be handicapped like he is now. And I love Ronnie, and I need to go out to Metroflex Arlington soon, and we could probably go.
Yeah, we'll go together, man. We'll go out there and bust some stuff up. That'll be great.
Because all my friends train there. My good friend Steve, he's training there and all the time. And I was like, "How's Ronnie doing?" He's in the gym all the time there, and he's doing what he can do. And Ronnie just loves the gym. But so 100%. Andrew versus Hadi. Who do you have, Chris?
100%. If they're both peaked perfectly,
peaked perfectly.
Dude, I don't think that Andrew could be beat by Hadi. And I'm not. This is not. Dude, I love Hadi. Like, I really do. I think the man is awesome. I think his physique is awesome. I think he's done absolutely everything the best. His symmetry is good. Like, he's awesome. All right. And I just I'm clarifying that because I don't want to think anybody think I'm shitting on Hadi, because I'm not, because he's great. The problem is you take a man the size of Andrew and you make him carry the attributes that Hadi does, which is predominantly his conditioning. Dude, it's just, I'm not saying that Hadi doesn't beat him in a couple of poses, right? Yeah. But the overall package, dude, I mean, there's a reason why the majority of these Mr. Olympias are, larger guys, right? Yeah. Because when you pack on as much muscle as it's requiring in order to compete at that level, it just looks better a few inches. Yeah.
5'9", 5'10", 5'11". That's a perfect height, I believe.
I think Andrew's like 6 foot though, isn't he? He's actually
tall. Andrew's tall. I was backstage just at the Texas Pro this past year and a half ago, and backstage, and just standing next to him. He's enormous, bro. Just enormous. So huge. And I totally agree with you. I got if Andrew comes in, just the sheer size of him, and I love Hadi too. The sheer size of him, if Andrew nails it, I think he's got it, bro. I think he's got it. Anything else, Chris? I mean, we covered basically everything. I mean, we'll be here next Monday again with talking about whatever comes up through the week. But I think we basically covered everything. You got anything else, brother?
No, man. I'm excited. I'm excited this year for the Arnold, because I think it's it's easily a transitional year for the sport in this regard of the very things that we're talking about. I do have, because I've met Hadi, I spent time with him over at Hani's place at Imogen. Like I have a liking for the guy. I hope the very best for him, considering that also with everything he's going through at his in his country, for that reason, I hope he's really, I hope he can make the absolute most of it. Andrew, man, good luck, smash it and bring it in, because that could be also the new face of the new change at the Olympia as well. So yeah, man, it's gonna be exciting.
All right, guys. IRON OGs, you guys, if you guys are viewing, watching, make sure comment, like, subscribe. A lot of you guys you're watching, but subscribe. We'll be here next Monday. We'll be here Thursday again. And then I believe King and I will be here Thursday with Sergio on here. And we'll be here again next Monday. Me, you, and King. And I hope King's tooth is better. And he's good to go. All right, brother. Have a good day. And I'll talk to you later.
Peace.
IRON OGs. Peace. Later, guys.